I am joined by a bunch of new faces and a bunch of familiar faces, so we'll start off with introductions. Suli?
I'm Suleiman Shoula, team captain for the Tuskers AT team and cap of last season's the Reputation Cartel.
Hi,
I'm
my
Suleiman
name's
Shoula,
Brett
team
Thomas Thomas.
captain
I'm the
for the
former
Tuskers
AT
AT team and cap
captain for Hawk.
of
I am
last
currently the
season's
primary
the
Logic
Reputation cap
pilot
of last
for
season's the
the
Reputation Cartel.
Major League team, the Clever Girls.
Hey, what's up? I'm Hoodie Mafia. On TQ, I fly for the Tuskers, and I am the team captain of the other team in the major leagues.
This is Kelon Darklight speaking. I'm on Hoodie's teams. Do whatever he tells me to do, because he's the captain.
Hello everyone, I'm Loca. In TQ, I'm a Laserhawk. I'm also the media and marketing dude for Eventy, and in the minor league, I am the legend pilot for Power Ducks.
Yay, okay. So I know we have Suli here who doesn't really fly with our championship series, but at the same time, like, did you guys watch the last weekend's the minor leagues at all? I know Loloka, you were obviously there, and I watched a little bit, but did anyone else kind of watch?
I've been tuning
Yeah,
into it a bit, yeah.
Does it say?
yes, I've been watching it as well. I've been commentating it as well, and there's been so many really good matches, especially the Power Ducks matches. I have to say, they were pretty fun.
I was gonna say, was it last weekend where we had like I think it was like 5 dominating victories, which is the most we've seen at one time? Or am I like misinformed of that?
Yeah, also last weekend was the first time where Red Team won more than Blue Team, thus debunking the conspiracy, perhaps, slightly, possibly. But yeah, there was definitely a lot more dominating victories, although much to our annoyance really, because we needed teams to not pick up too many points, but uh, it was a great day for Power Ducks though. We had just the one match against Sudden Otters, and at the time they were still top of the table. And we managed to pick up a win as Red Team against them, and it was huge for us anyway. We really enjoyed it. We only lost one chip in it though, so we didn't pick up the dominating victory. But we ended up losing a off-tank slasher to their. I forget what the comps were exactly. Actually, thinking about it. But yeah, it's one hell of a time, and really nervous and excited for next week now to see, because tomorrow we have the third week of the majors, and then after that we have the finals coming up for both leagues, and it's going to be real exciting to see who can make it through.
Yeah, are you guys looking forward to tomorrow's matches? I know a couple of you are flying in that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be quite a good day of matches.
I personally am terrified for tomorrow.
Why is that?
Who
I
are you up
believe
against?
I believe I'm actually up against Hoodie tomorrow. Tomorrow, the other team faces Clever Girls, which I believe are the first and second place for the Major League, and I reckon will kind of the way both teams have been playing. I think these matches will kind of decide the end lineup for the top of the Major League table. So I'm terrified in case I mess up.
I mean, that makes sense. What were you saying, Hoodie?
No, I was curious who he was up against. I don't know. I hadn't checked it specifically, but I think it should be a good match. Honestly, I mean, I think Clever Girls has been doing great. They've had a loss to pick up now, I think, against Jose and his team, which was just barely a loss. So, for all I care, you guys are still 4-0 in the league as well, so it should be a really good match.
Yeah, we had major technical problems with our battle cruiser pilot,
Disconnect,
and
right?
yeah, uh, the story behind it is uh, essentially his power supply unit has been failed, so he replaced it. I think was fine. Last week, the exact same problem happened, so he fixed the problem. Went a week in scrims without nothing happening, got live into the match, and computer broke down.
I was gonna say, was that the match where like his ship was just flying off into the distance, but he had like an aggression timer, so his ship like didn't warp out and it didn't boundary, so he was able to log back in and kind of take the match back.
Yeah.
But it was too late by that point.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't notice is e-warps are not a thing on both the AT and the tournament server, because the tool which allows teams to get into the arena locks all warping no matter what. So even if you burn 150 away and you're on opposite sides of the arena, you cannot warp to anyone anyway. If you try and warp, it locks. It just doesn't respond. So regardless of whether he DC'd or not, he wouldn't have e-warped. He'd have, if he hadn't aligned out, he'd have sat there still cycling all of his modules and doing nothing.
Ah, okay. I mean, yeah, that it super sucks, but at least like he didn't, I guess, boundary in that time and whatnot. Even though, I mean, in the end, I think you guys still ended up losing.
Yeah, we did lose, and we did play that match poorly. But I think it hasn't damaged much our chances of finishing well in the table. I just think that it'll always be a niggling question in the back of our minds whether we could have done better in that game. Got a couple of extra points.
I wouldn't stress too much about it though. I mean, a lot of these tournaments, like little things, kind of add up. I want to say like not just like computers breaking down or whatever, but like piloting errors. You can kind of like fail skate, like for
Micro
one
jump
side or the
drives.
other. Yeah, micro jump drives. People like putting. I know I've seen plenty of pilots put like repair drones on the enemy instead of their teammates. So it's like one of those things where like yeah, you mess up, it doesn't really help you, but like how badly it hinders you, you don't really know. Well, sometimes you might know when your battleship jumps out of the arena.
I believe we still hold the record for distance out of the arena, by the way. If anybody, gets distracted from the tournament for a moment and wants to have a go at beating us, do feel free. Although we will protect it.
I mean, there is a physical limit to that.
What would be the mathematical? I suppose it's like
Probably
it's about
250, right?
224.
Or 220, 225, yeah.
224.9 would be the theoretical limit you could micro jump dive out of the arena.
You got to time it to perfection as well. There's actually quite a bit of piloting skill involved in there, which is questionable at best. But
We had a decent attempt last weekend. We managed to make it 226 kilometers with one of our ships.
how'd you do that?
I think he just forgot what the boundary was.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say, I really wish that they would have command destroyers use the micro jump field generator, because I think that would just be amazing for some of the plays. It's like, yeah, you can't warp in an arena, but if you're really smart with your like command desi support, like you can just like move either the enemy fleet or your own fleet around, and I just think it'd be really cool. Although it'd probably get old quick.
Then you see suiciding to take critical ships with them.
Yeah, or like you keep like like you have like tackle or like screening for your lodging. Instead, you just put a command destroyer with them and hope for the best.
If that happened, it would force command destroyers in a destroyer slot no matter what, because being able to take out like a battleship or a battle cruiser would be ridiculously overpowered.
But then
Ships would then have to stay within 25 meters of the center of the arena.
But like, couldn't you just equip all your ships with a scram too, so that if anything gets close, you just scram it and shut it down, and then it's like a worthless destroyer sitting at 0 on you, and maybe cycled links once, and you just destroy it.
Ship fits aren't chosen by us.
Say again?
The ship fits aren't chosen by us. They're pre-designed by Bay. So if you pick badly and can't pick a battleship without a scram, you'll be severely boned, to say the least.
Yeah, I think the only time we'd be able to see is like something like the Alliance tournament. or like I guess then or even T would have to kind of shake up how we do pre-fit ships or allowing other fit ships or whatnot. My hope and dream is to still see it someday, maybe.
I'm pretty glad we haven't seen it to this point. I think it's complicated enough without the entire fleet jumping through the boundary.
Yeah. So say people still accidentally fly out of the boundary. You don't need any help with that.
If the teams that we're up against on the finals could just kindly ban the Raven, the Scorpion, and the Hyperion, just so we, can protect ourselves, it would be much appreciated.
That's pretty good. So we were talking earlier about the AT before the stream had started. Do you guys want to kind of go down that path? I believe everyone here has a little bit of AT experience, just as much as you guys have had like even T experience.
I'm cool with talking about it, yeah.
Sure.
Isn't
Yeah, sure.
You guys are all quiet. Do you want me to just like throw a couple topics out there, or?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I was say I don't really know much about the AT. Oh, actually, earlier today I was discussing with someone, and he made the comment of how his Ibis was worthless on Tranquility, and I said no, your Ibis can jam something, and I linked him the video, actually of I forget who it was, but they had one team had an Ibis and the other team had a Vindicator, and the Vindy was just like beating the crap out of everyone, and the Ibis went in and jammed him. And it was probably the funniest thing I've seen in an Alliance tournament. And, like, people were just, like, praising this little Ibis. Like, the little Ibis that could. Like, the rookie ship no one really expects. Like, you don't really primary it, I guess. And then it fucking jams a battleship, like a pirate battleship.
And then they win the match because of it. Because it's in the last, like, 10 seconds of the match or something. If I remember, like, the Vindicator was trying to kill another battleship. And the other battleship gets to, like... It might be a command ship or something. It gets to like 10% hull, and then it gets jammed because you see the webs dropping off on the stream, and then the match. And yeah, that was a pretty good match. I can't remember which match it was actually.
Yeah, I linked it. Yeah, because I remember like asking about it on Slack, and I was like, "Am I crazy, or did this actually happen?" And it actually happened. Like it was crazy.
Everyone will always remember that hero Ibis.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, you see all these, because, like, the Even T tournament is, Tech 1, like, frigates through battleships. Whereas, like, the AT, you can have, like, Tech 2, Tech 3, etc. So you get to see, like, all these crazy comps and, like, people coming out with, weird fits and this and that. And so you kind of have this, like, hero Ibis. Like, I don't think we'd ever have, for Even T, I don't think we'd ever have a rule of, like, yeah, bring a rookie ship, but it can actually be pretty baller.
That's not the match I'm thinking about, actually. There must have been two matches. My one might have been from last year, as in the year AT13, which was...
You might be thinking of, was that Nolly's Secunda at the time?
Can't remember which team it was.
They lost the match in AT13 basically on the last second because one of their ships got jammed as well.
Yeah, so it was something like that. I thought it was an Ibis jamming a Vindy with like 20 seconds left on the match or something with the enemy. So they were tied on points, and if the Vindicator killed the other ship, which was in like 10% hull, they would the Vindy team would win. But then the Vindy got jammed in that very last cycle of the match, on a single jam that the Ibis had or something, and then they won only because that Ibis jam landed exactly then, and the match went to time, and the other team won on points.
Yeah.
I'll try and dig it out, actually.
That's pretty awesome to see that happen. It's not actually that crazy to use these kind of ships. I mean, you see some of the better teams do this as well. Not necessarily with Ibis, but I think I've seen PL drop haulers on the field, for example, for their mid slots.
Yeah, and then is it common to like fill them with like cap charges and then just like drop them on the field for your teammates who like
That's an option. I think they're mainly there for the mid slots, so you can either like remote SIBO or put gems on them or dems or whatever. Because they're extremely cheap mid points, right? Like you pay 2 points, I believe, for a hauler, which can have up to five, I think, maybe even 6 mid slots.
5.
I'm not very good with haulers, to be honest with you. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
they're pretty legit. Well, they can be pretty legit. They're the cat booster thing. You saw a few tinkers in previous tournaments. You
Yeah.
have holders in them for cat boosters because tinkers go through cat boosters very quickly compared to most comps.
Yeah, and I've never flown in an AT, but like trying to drop off cat boosters for someone was probably the scariest thing I've ever had to do because I was in a Logi ship and they were being blobbed by like myrmidons. They're like, Rahne, just drop off the cat boosters. So that was like really intimidating, flying into like a blob of ships and trying to drop those off, but like it ended up helping us like win a fight or whatever.
I think I remember a story. Go ahead, sorry.
So my worst memory of swimming is when I tried to do that, and then we realised that we'd replaced the mobile depot in the centre of the arena with a mobile tractor unit, and our entire comp failed because the cap charges just kept getting tractored by the MTU.
It's so funny.
You just saw our Logi bending towards the MTU like no, stop it.
That would be like the cheesiest gameplay. Like if that actually happened in like an alliance tournament or like any of these like player run tournaments. Like you can't drop off cat boosters for your team or your tinker or whatever.
It has happened. I'm trying to remember. There was a match where we had to kill. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like. It was actually no. It was an even team match from last year. Before it went to the league format, where we were in a rapid light missile kite comp versus a Navy Scorpion battleship comp, and we ran one of the Navy Scorpions at cat boosters, and the other one jet canned some cat boosters for him to reload to, and we had to kill the cannon before the other Navy Scorpion could grab the cat boosters from it, ASB and his cat booster. I guess that sort of thing happens relatively frequently, I imagine, in like ATs and stuff, though. Hasn't happened to me.
I have definitely done it 3 times in NT matches. There's actually a video on my YouTube channel of our destroyer pilot in the middle of the match bending towards me and dropping cap boosters so I can continue repping the rest of the team.
Oh man. Have you guys does that happen a lot with drones too? Like I've seen some fights where it looks like nothing's happening because people are shooting drones, so you end up having to like scoop a dead teammate's drones or whatnot.
There was one, I think it was the very last event sort of showcase matches we did before AT14, which was Tuskers versus Waffles. And in the end, it was basically it was a Railgunner Starty versus Obots versus a Starty, and the match was ticking down to time. And I was in the Starty team, the Deimos. Sorry, it was Deimos, not Phobos. Anyway, basically, I'm trying to kite the other Starty. He's gaining on me, and I'm trying to do whatever I can to kill him. So I end up basic guys in comms are telling me to run away and minimize DPS or something, and I'm slow boating to try to grab Warrior 2s on the field to grab them and then deploy them for extra DPS because we can't break the enemy Astarte. I haven't seen a match where other than that when people have actually. I mean, it's probably happened. I can't think of a match where it's been showcased about acquiring drones mid. It must have happened.
I want to say I remember one match, and I don't remember if it was even T or the AT, where it was like I don't think it was the same one, but it was like a race of like 2 destroyers trying to like scoop drones while the other was shooting drones or whatever. Yeah, I think it's probably more common with cat boosters though.
There was actually, there was when my team fought Hoodie's team in last season of AT. of EVNT. This team was shooting at my Dominic's sentry drones, from what I recall. And I was having to redeploy new ones, and abandon old ones. That might have been it. Because it was a destroyer and a frigate, I think a Merlin and a Corax, trying to kill the drones.
Oh, okay, okay.
But yeah, anyway, AT this year should be quite interesting, mate. Helping CCP changes the rules a little bit to shake it up just a tad.
Like, in what way?
We'd like a point reduction cost on the Valgrind to ensure that we can run again this year.
Yeah, but I mean, I think some of the ship classes are kind of like underrepresented. So you rarely see recons, I would say. So you know, like Curses. I mean, Curse and Hagen are probably the most the ones you would probably see the most in the tournament of all the recon ships, and they are very underrepresented, which I think is a bit of a shame. So I'd like to see some reductions to recons.
I believe the only one you see quite a lot is the Hugin or the Rapier. You see in quite a lot of kite cons, but it's only in like a specific kind of fleet type. All the rest.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, well, it might have been last year where the Kural was only 2 points. And there are sort of much cheaper alternatives to like a fully fledged Hagen, which is a lot of points. Strategic cruisers are probably the other thing as well. I mean, apart from some people trying to run Tinkers and failing massively, I would be very surprised if more than 2 strategic cruisers were filled in out of the, I guess, 150 matches of AT14. I don't know how many matches there are, but I'd be very surprised if there were more than 2 strategic cruisers fielded throughout the entire tournament, which is pretty massively low utilization rate.
Yeah, well, they just still got priced as Logi cruisers, right?
No, they got priced as command ships. So you could either get
or as command ships, I guess.
Yeah, you could either get an Astarte, you could get a Proteus, basically.
Yeah, except that it just doesn't work that way because they're subsystems.
Yeah, so I mean those are probably the big ones: strategic cruisers and recons. It'd be interesting to see as well if they change weak order prices, because orders are basically faction battleships really. If you can't use Bastion mode, they're not. Outside of Bastion mode, they are nice alternatives to faction battleships, but they're not better than like a pirate battleship. I wouldn't say, for example, a Varga is better than a Nicario. So that'd be quite nice. Sort of shake up sort of the meta a little bit, show some of the more underutilized classes. Also, I hope they bring back Tech 2 damage drones to the tournament, except for possibly sentries. And which those are the only ones I'm not too sure about. I think last year again you tended not to see any drone heavy comps at all. In fact, I can't even recall seeing a single drone heavy comp in the entire tournament, which is a bit of a shame.
Was it last year where they said like only T1 drones for all types of drones, or did they still allow T2 Logi drones?
So they only allowed Tech 2 Logi drones. Everything else had to be Tech 1. Yeah. The year before you could. The year before was the same, I believe. And the year before that was
only Tech 1 Logi drones this year, right? Last year?
Last year was Tech 2 Logi drones.
Am I getting confused?
I think
I believe
I'm
it's
fairly
Tech
sure
2
that
Logi drones.
1813 was Tech 2 Logi drones and last year was Tech 1 Logi drones.
No, last year I had Tech 2 because I specifically remember still having them in my queue to train.
Oh, I might be confused.
I don't think they've ever removed T2 Logi drones from a tournament.
no, but it would be nice if they. Yeah, I agree. I'm pretty sure they've always had Tech 2 Logi drones, but it'd be nice if they brought back sort of Tech 2 ogres or Tech 2 damage drones, except probably maybe sentries. Because it was the fact were the insane thing, as well as the augmented versions of the drones, not the Tech 2, that really made drones really powerful 2 years ago, and the metal 3 years ago. The metal was much different then.
Did they remove ECM drones last year? Or am
No,
I
you could bring
thinking
them.
of NT?
Even T doesn't have ECM
Yeah,
drones,
yeah.
but AT still has ECM drones. I think it's only T1 though.
Because mass of ECM drones is, as I am sure a couple of people can vouch for, extremely annoying. Like a flight of large ECM drones can jam most non-seaboard battleships quite often.
Yeah, I mean, they're annoying, but in terms of overall balance, because they're offensive drones, so they have to come close to the enemy. They're much easier to sort of just go, all ECM drones which go near it instantly get killed. Whereas logistics drones, you have to get on top of the target that they're repping, which if you're putting them in a logistics ship, means you have to get on top of the enemy logi to nullify their effect. I think ECM drones I mean, they're annoying, definitely, but I don't think they're quite, they're not as bad as they could be in the tournament setting.
They actually did ban T2 repair drones last year.
I thought I wasn't crazy. I looked it up and it was only Tech 1 rep drones last year.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, because the skill that it gives you an extra 5% repping as well. I guess that's probably why in your skill queue. I guess.
Yeah. That's probably a good change.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things which is quite hard to determine what the effect of it is. I would say. But yeah, I suppose it's a good change, particularly with the format going down from 12 to 10 people. Means you can actually break logistics at range, even if it's got rep bots on it.
I remember you saying you didn't see any like drone comps or drone boat comps, but I specifically remember there was a Gila, or there was a comp with Gilas. I don't know if that was the core, but I remember seeing Gilas, and I was kind of confused because obviously if you can only have T1 drones, it's not that great.
Yes, I think I recall seeing them as well. For my used as like shield hacks, like in place of like a ham Cerberus or something, like or an eagle. So a sort of short range brawling, heavily tank cruiser.
I would just want to let you guys know that we've been broadcasting without sound the whole goddamn time.
No. We have sound. It's apparently really low.
Are you sure?
Yeah, BattleDog says he hears it, and so does Kelon.
I have mine on 300% at the moment, and I still can't hear anything.
Is it?
You better is, mate.
I was gonna say,
Like not even low, just nothing.
Okay. Reload the stream. And it works. I've just had to reload the stream to myself.
Be very careful now. It's gonna like blast your eardrums.
Yeah. It did happen, and now I'm crying. Not really.
May says he can hear us, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. I mean, apart from that, there's the HIC, the heavy interdicted change that's coming through, the 2 scripts instead of a single superscript. That'll be interesting to see how that changes HIC point costs. They were relatively popular this last year, I would say. You saw quite a lot of phoboses and... Well, actually, you saw all 4 of them, I'd say. You saw quite a few broadswords, devoters, phoboses, and onyxes. But the changes to the scripts means you can see how that works in the future, or how popular they are in the future.
Yeah, I definitely think you're going to see less of them. I think the reason they were played that much was very simply because of like how oppressive their range was compared to everything else. If they get nerfed, I think you're going to see the I've completely spaced the name, the recon, which has long range points and scrubs.
I'm not quite sure on that though, because the Hicks are basically hacked without any drones, with an extra long point range. Like they do, Furburst does roughly the same damage as Deimos without drones. Whereas an Arazi does basically no DPS. So what are the cheeses, I guess? But I'm hoping that they cut it down to like 10 points, because I think the tournament suffers from this weird thing where when you're trying to build a comp, you start off high, and you've either got choices at like the high points cost, so like 15 points and above, so that's your logistics, your battleships, your command ships, and then you've got options which are really cheap, like 2, 3, 4 points, which are frigates, bombers, destroyers, assault frigates, Tech 3 destroyers. But you've got nothing like, which is a good option generally in most cases at sort of the 10-point level. Your comps comprise a small number of very high point ships and a large number of very cheap ships. You can see if they like invigorate the 10-point, 9 or 10-point options.
I think now that the link changes have gone in, they definitely need to address command ships.
You mean bring their points up or bring their points down?
I'm not entirely sure, but I just know they need. I just think they, at the points they're at, I don't think they're very balanced. Because I believe having they can, from what I remember, they can fly 3 links each. So having 6 links in your team, I think will just be a little bit more overpowered. So I think they need to bring the points up ever so slightly.
What about command destroyers too? Because you can have command destroyers as well as like command ships, right?
Yeah, to be honest, I would actually say that command ships are probably weaker than they were in the past in some extent. So before you could run 5-link commander ships, you can't do that anymore. You can only run 4 because of the amount of rig slots that command ships have.
But you can't run more than 3 anyway. There isn't a co-processor anymore, is there?
No, there's a rig so command ships by default can now fit 2 links on, or have 2 links active at the same time. And you can fit that increases that number by 1 for any ship that can already fit a link. So if you have 2 of those rigs, because 2 ships only have 2 rig slots, then you can run 4 on a command ship. So Rahne, I think command destroyers will be really good this year actually, because run 3 links very easily and still have like utility, and you still have a decent tank. Whereas last year, if you ran like a 3-link command destroyer, you would do pretty much nothing but turn an AB on and orbit your logistics or something. And if you were lucky, you would put well, actually, I think if you had 3 links last year, you would do nothing but orbit your logistics, period.
You had no tank whatsoever.
Yeah, no tank.
No
tank,
mods,
no utility.
no.
Yeah. Whereas this time, you can have. I mean, it's, I would say reasonably combat fit command destroyer with 3 links. If that'll be pretty damn competitive compared to I don't know, like a link battlecruiser or something, because they can both fit the same number of links. You can either have a 3-link prophecy, or you can have a 3-link whatever the Pontifex, and one will be at the moment 6 points. The command destroyer, one will be 12 or 13 or whatever the battlecruisers turn out to be. But I'm hoping to see more command destroyers this year, because I think would be really cool, because they've also got that a pretty short link. They have no bonus to.
They're
link
definitely
range.
going to be piloting intensive compared to some of the other link ships. Yeah, so it's always good to see them on the field.
So yeah, that'll be really interesting to see how they change to links. The bursts, links going to becoming bursts will affect everything, because I can imagine you would. If you were going to fly optimally, you would have to like regroup every. I think is it 2 minutes the links last or so to regroup.
Yeah.
Or get the command destroyer guy to you have to act like every 2 minutes, I don't know, broadcast or whatever you're going to do, and your entire fleet has to congregate around this guy who then relinks bonuses everyone. Flies around whoever needs links the most.
Yeah, people definitely have to be more aware of their like situational awareness instead of like what's in the fleet window now, because now it's position doesn't matter, so you just slap everyone in a fleet, have everyone warp in, and then it's all about positioning. So at least like it's a little more entertaining instead of like I think some battle cruisers like command ships like didn't even have like a prop mod last year. They just kind of sat there and just like tried to tank as well as like run their links.
It was horrible. Yeah, if you were, the guy in practice that got assigned that ship, you were like, okay, I guess I'll fly it.
It make it interesting though, but yeah, it was generally the most boring ship. Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Go ahead.
The Tech 1 battle cruisers have a 50% boost to effect range of the burst, so they have almost 50-kilometer range on burst, so there might be a point in their favor over the command destroyers.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be an interesting thing though, because the command destroyers will give stronger links effects than the battle cruisers. They get a 2% bonus, I think.
Yeah, slightly though, but yeah.
It's just slight. I mean, it's not something you're gonna.
10% at max skills.
Yeah, max skills.
Okay.
But it's an interesting trade-off because points, utility, tough they are. It'd be interesting because nowadays
you're going to be able to burst every. So you might be able to burst one group and then have the command destroyer travel to another group to burst it and still have overlapping effects because you have a bit of time between when you burst and the next time you have to apply the burst, so they still have it.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is you can obviously now change the Gs you've got loaded. So the easiest way of thinking about it is, I don't know, depending on what the enemy team, you warp into the arena and then you see what the enemy team's got, so then you might change a few of your links possibly. And the other more interesting thing I think is halfway through the match you realise you don't need this link anymore because your logistics is dead because whatever. So now you swap scripts to another effect which will benefit your team more. That'll be quite interesting to see how teams sort of react to that. I know I'll probably, in quite a few sort of practice matches, if I'm flying one, will probably forget to reapply the links halfway through a match or something and wonder why everyone's dying.
That's actually an awesome thing that I've been able to practice a lot in this event. I've basically learned myself, as I'm flying mostly the link ship here, to put the auto cycle off, and it took me like probably 15 practice matches to get it perfect when you actually realize you need to cycle it every time. You just have to train yourself to do it.
Another thing that's
what you can do is it requires very tight timing. If there are two sets of links which give the same percentage of bonus, i.e., if you have a link which boosts shield AHP and then a link which boosts damage resistant values, since they give the same amount, they generally give the same amount of EHP bonus. You can cycle once, reload in the 30 seconds, and then get 30 seconds of the other cycle, which means for the 30 seconds between the two, the 30 seconds between one fails and the other. The best way to describe it is the cycle time is 2 minutes. So by the time the reload goes in, you'll still have 30 seconds left of the original link before you can boost again. So the second boost, you have 30 seconds of two overlapping links, and then I think it comes out to 1 minute after the first link goes away, you can reapply that first link again if you constantly reload between the two. It's just very micro intensive.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you've got these options now, which I think is definitely livens up like Hoodie said, the person who's unfortunate enough to fly a command ship rather than turn the links on, sit in the corner, read a book for 10 minutes sort of thing.
one good thing too is the fact that if your command ship dies, you still get the link effect until it wears off. So it's not like instantaneous of like rushing down the command ship because then the team doesn't get links. It's more of, try to get that cycle off and then it's whatever. So
Yeah, but there's also more interesting things, like, let's say that you can pin the command ship down away from its fleet. It's literally useless at that point. You just tackle it with a 2-point Merlin, and it can't apply links to its fleet anymore.
Yeah, that's true too.
Very interesting applications there, so hopefully a lot of, diverse play and skill involved in links this year.
What I am super hyped that has actually been redone is the 3D AT viewer is back available about like it went down about halfway through last year's Alliance tournaments and never came back up. And someone has reposted on the forums a new 3D tournament video. So if you ever have an interesting match, you can watch the match and watch as if you're a spectator in terms of being able to spin the map around and watch positioning. I think it's going to be very good for a lot of some newer teams who aren't that skilled in positioning, so they can use this tool to see how certain pilots fly in certain positions. Like watch how the T3D pilots fly in the last tournament and learn about where they should be at certain times and what their positioning should generally be. I know for a fact I'm going to use it to watch Logi pilot positioning and learn.
And that was posted on the forums. I know even T has it for last year. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's on the Arena site. Oh, I found it. Oh my gosh. I can actually link it. Alright, so it's posted here. And then we also had, okay, yeah, you already posted it. And then Battle Dog in a Twitch chat said, any T3 cruiser change speculation.
What? Tech 3 cruiser, sorry.
Yeah, any T3 cruiser
Yeah, there's a
change
really
speculation.
that one's coming apparently.
Oh, I just hope they remove slots from T3 cruisers.
I wouldn't be
Because-
surprised to see them given the the same treatment as the droids.
It's just oppressive the amount of like EHP you can get them for T3 cruiser with rigs. If it just had loads, it'd be okay, but combined with rigs is an extra like 40-50%. It pushes it up from like high cruiser EHP to like battleship EHP.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they'll do, to be honest. I mean, if they make them like Tech 3 destroyers, that could be quite interesting. Because now that they changed Tech 3 destroyers, so you do more DPS in offensive mode, so it's still called sharpshoot mode, which is a bit weird. That sort of thing could prevent those sort of situations where you've got really high DPS, really high tank at the same time, and decent mobility.
I just feel like they should slightly change the T3 cruisers to not be the best at everything in every single configuration, because a T3D in cloaky Nully configuration is like better than most scouts. Well, better at being a scout than most scout ships. It's physically untouchable half the time, and it's the exact same that a T3 cruiser in an offensive, in a kind of a hack kind of style where it's flying like a heavy cruiser is instantly better than a heavy cruiser anyway. So I think they need to make it so that their strengths are their flexibility, not that they're just better at anything when you configure them right. I mean,
Yeah, makes sense. Rahne, me and Kelon are gonna have to drop out because we're having practice in roughly 5 minutes.
Practice for tomorrow's matches?
Exactly.
I was gonna say, are you nervous or excited going into those?
Excited, of course. It should be fun, and I think we have some good opponents tomorrow, so it's always cool.
Alright, best of luck to you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Good luck tomorrow, Brett. But not too much luck.
good luck to you too as well.
Alright, so that was both Hoodie Mafia and then Kelon dropping out. We are we're close to the end of the hour. Are you able to stay around more, Brett and Suli? And Loca?
Yep.
Maybe.
I have an hour before I have to leave for scrims myself.
You have scrims too?
Same here. I've got scrims in an hour. I also
Yeah,
have
well,
no connection now, so.
I'm physically playing Hoodie tomorrow. I kind of have to be prepared.
Well, I'll have you know, he's practicing right now as we speak.
Oh
So,
God,
so
the
Brett,
pressure.
what's your now that they're gone, now that they're hiding, and obviously Suleiman won't pass this on because he's a trustworthy fellow, and he absolutely wouldn't. What's your game plan for tomorrow against Hoodie?
Oh well, we're gonna go a no logic comp, and we're totally gonna go all in on. No, I'm not gonna tell you.
So the plan
Okay,
is trust me,
so you're not
To
doing
be
a logic
honest,
combat.
my personally, I tend to take a step back and focus more on my own piloting and strategy towards the match. I leave the what's going to be flown in the match to the captain and the co-captain because they are absolutely fucking ridiculous. Sorry for the language. I kept myself PG
No,
for the
it's
entire
okay.
stream except for that moment. They are absolutely amazing. I can't give them enough preps because of how well they do pre-match. Because they sit there and they will sit for 2-3 hours every 2 or 3 days and sit there and just discuss things going, oh yes, the matches that happened last week, these people are banning this way. Why do we think they're banning this way? And they do so much work behind the scenes with a lot of the players that you kind of don't get to see because we have a large roster in our team. It's about 15, 16 dudes. It's 15 dudes that are on the official roster and about 16, 17 dudes actually flying scrims. Now, the people that actually do the matches, there's only 5 of us, and the people that's mostly because we have a lot of pilots that aren't very experienced with are good and they're amazing, but we don't know how they fly. So we tend to trust more towards the people that have done this for the past 3 years. But I can't let down the amount of work they do as well because the doing scrims with us, quite a lot of our pilots doing like 3-4 scrims a week. Our main 5 pilots can't make it most of the time, so they do a hell of a lot of work helping us, helping our pilots improve. And like, if I've got one thing to say about the whole thing is, they're all absolutely amazing.
I was just gonna say, sorry, go on.
I think I've got a top tip against Hoodie's team though, which I'll share with you. And he won't hear about this obviously, is shoot Hoodie. He screams a lot when he gets shot at. We almost lost a few AT matches because someone shot him, like the other team shot him, and no one could hear anything that was being said over his voice of him panicking. I'm being serious.
He flies.
That's absolutely hilarious.
He flies the link ship, which is usually what we primary first anyway, because taking those links off the field is what, a 20% loss to the enemy team. If you were given the option of shoot this first and you get a 20% bonus to damage, we're gonna take it.
So you will be shooting Hoodie first tomorrow, confirmed.
Yes, we're totally gonna be shooting Hoodie first. Don't change that. So now Hoodie's in the frigate, and we have to try and shoot a frigate first, please.
Hoodie can't fly frigate, trust me. He tried flying it a few practices and he was terrible. Gotta give him something slow.
Ooh.
And something his mind can keep up. Something I can keep up with. So we normally put him in a battlecruiser with no nanos, because otherwise it's a bit too much for him.
So what you're saying is Hoodie is slow.
He's slow and screams a lot.
Yeah. I might actually release audio because there is one match. It was the very last match of AT14 where he gets primary in his slap grip and he just immediately starts screaming for reps, and it's no one can hear anything I'm saying for about 5-10 seconds or so because he's just panicking. It's quite funny.
That's hilarious because I mean, it works, right? You guys won the AT, so like obviously when you're screaming, you use the scream tank, and like definitely works against an opponent. But when you have a team, it doesn't really work because that's how I fly. Because like I just scream whenever I'm being shot at, and then I usually win. But I don't have a team, so obviously like I don't have people trying to communicate over me. So
When anybody is ever doing damage to you, you scream.
yeah, like and
So that
so like
I
I mean
mean,
it's a
we
legitimate
all know-
strategy. You can't make fun of him because it's a legitimate strategy.
No, we know exactly why it works, because most people are trying to stream snipe you. So when all of a sudden they engage in you and you start screaming, they panic and lose the battle.
It's
For
hilarious.
the next cup, we need to get a team together full of screamers. Just 5 screamers together in one team.
So
And just an open mic. And I'm sure we can have all the entertainment in the world.
So like there's like thousands of stories I could tell, but like I think it was the This Is Really Eve parody where it's people getting angry, and the very end is somebody screaming to go for the rapier, and he's just screaming the whole time. Like I mean, it's like
The rapier is the primary video. The rapier is up in primary. Shoot the cut, and then it scales into the big Allah Akbar scream. That end of the This Is Eve video.
it's
Well, I mean,
it's a
it clearly
strategy.
works as a strategy because it boosted the number of EVE players quite considerably when that got released. So it's people saw that and thought, yes.
I was there. I'm pretty sure I was there for that practice, and it did make us kill the rapier pretty quickly because we wanted him to shut up.
I mean, legitimately, when I've been repping a member on my team and they're in like 10% armor, and I'm just repping them and I'm keeping them at 10% armor, and I'm at like 75% heat, I have legitimately screamed myself
Dude, it totally works. But like
to keep them alive. Just been like, you gonna have to stay. Which is why, if you watch some of the videos of the actual AT matches, there are certain points where I have had to edit out the audio because it is literally me screaming to keep them alive.
So now that you know, you can always shoot Hoodie, and then everyone will they won't panic, but it'll cause like kind of chaos on comms. So like you don't have to kill them right away. You just kind of like keep them somewhere, and then just shoot them whenever like you think they're working too well together. That's the strategy.
And when they start turning the tide, it's shoot Hoodie then quick.
If you want to pull reps off the prime, you just fire one volley into Hoodie, and he'll scream scream loudly, and then you just swap back to the primary, and they won't be able to cycle reps back at a time. Legit tactic.
I'm the primary logi pilot for my team, so I've just installed a little thing of nobody ever ask for reps. I know you're getting shot. I've got you fucking locked up. I know you're in 20% armor. I have other priorities right now. So most of my pilots, when they're getting shot, just keep quiet and just go, I'm dead now.
Matt, I have a catchphrase for this. No, and I apologise because I'm going to break the PG barrier again here, but it's literally no fucking shit is what I say to my team when they're getting shot. And they tend to get the message that I understand their issue and that it will be dealt with shortly, if at all.
So I do the opposite when I'm logi. I just tell everyone they're fine, even though I might be out of like my optimal. And like I can like repping somebody else, so I can't rep them. But I just try to keep them calm. So I just tell them that they're fine and that they're not dying and that they'll be okay. And sometimes it works. Usually people like kind of panic.
FC, like, I'm dead. Fine.
They're like, I'm getting primaried. They're shooting me, and I'm like, oh, you're fine. Like I'll get to you. You're okay. And like sometimes it works. And...
Wait, that sounds like a teacher. Don't worry. I'll get to you when it's your turn to receive reps.
Yeah, we had
everyone raise your hands.
We had an Orthros pilot like getting primaried like in some small gang fight, and he was like, he almost like burned out his like self-repper, and he was like in deep structure. But I eventually got the reps to him. I was out of optimal, but I eventually started repping him, just telling him he was fine the whole time, and he stopped panicking at least.
I had a match once where, well, not a match. I was flying on TQ in a carrier, and we land on grid, and we're doing these carrier fights, and I realise, I'm being shot. and then I realise I'm 75 km away from the fight, and nobody is anywhere near me. So I just align out towards an Astro house and sit there, and then people are telling me, like, when I hit armor, what about? You're in armor, you're gonna die, what about? I'm just sitting there going, I'm fine. I hit structure, people are like, oh my god, panic, what about? You're in structure. I'm fine. I hit about 10% structure, and I go, this seems about right, and click the warp button, and instantly all damage drops. And it's the amount of people that freak out for me when I'm flying is wonderful. I just sit here and just kind of chill.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling in Eve when you're a Logi pilot, and we had this against Sudden Otters last week, where when something is dying very slowly, but you kill something on the other team, and you just start to rep, and you say, I remember, like, if we had recorded my comms last weekend, there was a moment where I just said, I've got you, I can hold this, and everyone started losing their shit. It was great. And it was just like that feeling of like how tense it was. You just like watching the structure dip down, but they would just slowly tick up. It's like it's the most satisfying feeling in you.
Yeah, it's especially true when you like hit the end of your overheat just as he dies, and you're like, I can't overheat anymore, but don't worry, I'm holding you. I got this, guys.
My favorite.
Yeah, there's always that moment where you look at your reps and you see like two reps on 90% heat or something like that, and then one on 70%, and you're like, I want to overheat that 70% one, but I know that's going to tick over. I know it's going to tick over.
It's the reason why I hate the Augur, and if they give me the option, I'll always be an exec, because the Augur, like, I always end up overheating the entire rack and not swap overheating because I'm too busy doing other stuff, and I'll end up like overheating everything when things get close, and it'll turn out rep 1 has 30% heat, rep 2 has 89% heat, rep 3 has 30%, rep 4 has 90, rep 5 has 30. I'm sitting there going, well, I'm fucked now. I've got no heat because these two. I'm breaking the PG barrier.
That's okay.
Eve is a very PG game.
I can't heat anymore because these two rappers have decided, you know what, I don't feel like being so hot. I want to cool down, and the rest of my rappers are just, they have to stay with them. They have to be cool.
Well, I find it quite interesting actually. So normally, it doesn't really happen in the AT too much, but it happens quite a lot in like small gang stuff on TQ. I generally tell people they're going to die before they die. I'm like, yeah, we're going to jump into this gang, and 2 people are going to die. And you know, I don't know who's going to die, but the first 2 to decloak will die pretty much. It's all decloak, and do a countdown. You know, see what happens. See who actually decloaks first. I mean, it's part of the game. You know, to win a fight or win an AT match, you don't win 100-0 unless it's a very serious outplay or a very serious outmeta.
I used to fly with a FC who'd always like overtank quite a lot of the ships. He'd always do the okay, we need to get out of this situation. Everybody, what you're gonna do is you're gonna align. Is okay, there's enemies on this gate, so when I count down, we're all going to instantly walk to this gate. They're only going to be able, they only have about 3 scrams, they're only going to catch 2 or 3 of us. The 2 or 3 of you that are there were hopefully sorry. And I used to clock on with every single time he'd do this. He'd count down 3, 2, 1, and everybody would align. Everybody had like click the warp button and uncloak and align, except for him. He'd wait the extra second, so the scammers have actually picked a person to start locking on before he'd click like align and warp. So he'd never be the person to get caught. Only time it ever stabbed him in the back is when he did that, and then he was the only person caught in the bubble by the saber that appeared.
My favourite thing to do when it's FCing and all that kind of stuff is in wormhole space everybody kind of knows each other, or to some extent, or we sort of heard of each other at least. So like when we meet each other again, it's usually we're primarying people that we already know, people we've met before, people we've shot before, and we have familiar names. We're like, oh, I remember that person, I'll shoot them. And when it comes to myself, I tell everybody in wormhole space that I overtank my ship when I'm FCing, and I never do. It's something I like to call psychology tanking. Because then the next time they're in that fight, they're like, tank his ship that time, but he keeps saying that he is, and maybe this time he did, so I won't shoot him. But then sometimes they'll be like, I'll actually shoot him, and then maybe I will pull out that over tank ship and just keep everybody guessing. So fun to mind game people. You can do that in tournaments a little bit as well. You can just sort of play on people. You can be like, yeah, we're gonna do this. No.
You see, this is him actually psychology tanking. He always over tanks his ship. So this is his plan to get everybody to shoot him, so the reps are more efficient and he stays alive. You see, I'm on to you.
It happens quite a lot in tournaments. In the Volta versus Tuskers best of 3 series, which was decided second and third place. So it was second and third place in the AT in the one that just happened. There were 2 sort of almost mirror matches. Match 1 and match 3 in the best of 3, and the logistics part for Volta. Match 1, he had a very over-tanked logistics ship, and in match 3, he had a very under-tanked logistics ship, assuming that we wouldn't primary him because of he was over-tanked in match 1. So it does happen quite often in tournament setting. Those sort of mind games and bits between matches sort of thing.
That's evil. Obviously, the changing fates doesn't happen too much in the Events Each Championship series, otherwise you just DQ yourself. But it's I hope we do get to participate in the AT because it does sound like there's a whole party going on over there.
Yeah, it's interesting how much you can. There's obviously a lot that goes on behind the scenes away from the actual stream. You often get weird little conversations, weird little sidebar deals, and all that kind of stuff being struck between even enemies and stuff. It's quite an interesting community for people to be in.
Yeah.
No,
be careful. Yeah, you gotta be careful about how close those conversations are sometimes, I guess, between teams.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes it's just unintentional. Like there was PFR, what is it?
Freeport Republic.
Freeport Republic, yeah. So we had a scrim against them in the test open practice for AT14, and we ran what I called a trolley-ish comp, as in it was a comp which sort of legit, but it was something it was like, I think it was 9 bombers. What was it? I think it was 8. No, it was 6 bombers and 4 faction battleships. Oh no,
Oh,
no,
I believe I remember this. I'm flying against this once.
That was the Volta. There was what was the other trolley thing? We ran something. No, so yeah, it was like 2 Claymores, 2 Scorpion Navies, an Osprey, and 5 bombers, or Scythe or whatever. We ran it as a trolley thing, and we beat Freeport Republic with it reasonably badly, I think. And then we were like, oh, that's kind of an interesting comp. Unlikely to use it in an actual tournament because it's so one-dimensional. And then they ended up using against one of their practice partners who had never seen it before in the actual tournament and knocked them out. So like a trolley comp made by another team shown to another team who then use it in the actual tournament to win a match.
I think a lot of that quite happens. I believe we stole the before the Tinkers were banned. We practiced quite a lot with PL's Tinker. Like we saw what they were flying and was just like, yep, we'll take that comp. We're gonna fly that Tinker.
I mean, if it's working for one team, why not use it? I mean, it kind of makes
Yeah,
sense.
exactly.
Although, usually if a team, maybe not like a trolley comp, but if a team has like their like a signature comp or they know it really well, they should be able to know what counters it. So you got to be a little careful doing that. You can't just avoid all theory crafting and just like steal other teams' comps because that might backfire.
Yes, someone, I think it was an NC Dot guy, made a comment to me which was about rapid light missile comps, because quite a few teams in AT14 ran rapid light missile comps. As far as I can recall, none of them were successful. Very few of them were successful, particularly towards the latter end of the tournament, with the exception of the Tusker matches versus Afterlife and PL. Every other team who ran, so after like ran, copied our exact comp or something, lost. NC Dot admitted that they tried practicing with it and lost. The fits were the same. It was just other things that caused a change in results. So even like you say, even copying and the comp isn't enough. Sort of the knowledge that goes into making the comp is often more important.
Yeah, of course, the thing with Rapid Lights as well, they were very popular in the meta around the time as well. I think they still are to some extent. But in a tournament setting, when you have time limits, you have a lot of DPS, but then you also have this huge reload cycle where you have none, and that gives such a break to the other team if you're relying on Rapid Lights for so much of your damage. It's true in Event as well. If you ever see a Caracal on grid, then this is one argument against it being too strong at the moment. One of the key discussion points that's been going on over the last few weeks is whether the Caracal is too strong for this format. And I think since the introduction of links have made Logi stronger, I think it's sort of been phased out a little bit. But the Rapid Lights from the Caracal are extremely strong until it hits that reload. And then it's just you basically get a big bunch of free time to just do whatever you want to the other team without the pressure on your smaller ships from that Caracal. So Rapid Lights are great and everything like that, but you have to execute it perfectly, and it has to be really effective early on if you actually get the the results that you need from it. Otherwise, you're sat there waiting, and then you'll fire again for a little bit. And if you did break something the first time round, when you had the first 20, then no guarantee you're going to break something on the second time round either.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how, particularly in this sort of format where the ship fits are provided to you, how there are often quite a few sort of common threads of theory crafting, but a lot of teams just, even though you've given the exact same tools, they will just approach the same issues in completely different ways. So some team might prioritize the Osprey over the Execura for whatever reason, or the Oracle over the Naga, even though the fits are exactly the same, just because it fits in better into their strategy or what their view of the meta is or what their view of their opponent is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I remember a match from last weekend where I believe Footwork were blue team in their final match against Exodus, or Exodunks I should call them, sorry. And they banned the exec to take the Ogre, believing the Ogre was better, and that was sort of counter to what a lot of people feel in the current meta for this tournament. And the reason people love the exec so much is partially due to the better overall reps with the larger drones. It gets the extra bay, it gets a lot more, it gets larger drones and more of them out there on grid. You get 5 mediums as opposed to the 4 small. Double cap boosters, so you're more resistant to nukes, and the sensor booster in there as well, which the Ogre doesn't get. The benefit to the Ogre is it can move around the grid a lot more. It has the dual prop, so afterburner and micro warp drive, but that also hurts its own cap, and it only has the 1 cap booster to deal with it. So something that's been really effective against Ogre teams is jams and nukes. So if you see a Geddon or a Scorpion, that Ogre is going to have a real rough time. Now the exec has been really strong. However, some people just find things that work better for them, like Footwork, for example. They maybe feel that the speed of the Ogre is necessary to make their team work well. It's interesting how when teams are developing their comps, they just find their own little niches that they settle with.
It's very important to, as an experienced Logi pilot, what I've seen is it's very important to spot which Logi pilots are uncomfortable with their own positioning, because you'll see them lean towards the Ogre a bit more because they don't focus as much as where they are, so that when they realize, oh, something's bending for me, they quickly just go up, panic, micro warp drive away. Whereas if you watch certain teams, they'll position an Org when they're given the option for the two. They'll go for an Org just because, not the Org, they'll go for the exec because they can position their ships in a certain spot and for the entire match have perfect positioning, like 40-50k away, because they preemptively know what the team's going to do. Like if they think, oh, they're going to bend towards the ship that's over here, and that ship's like 80 km away. I'm going to spend the next 30 seconds bending in this direction so that when things do happen and people do change, I'm in a position already. So it's quite cool to watch the people that are paying attention and the people that aren't.
Yeah,
As
absolutely.
as a commentator, I get my own little time to watch that when I'm not actively commentating.
The other thing besides that as well is fans exist. I mean, more often than not, you're going to be flying your second favorite comp rather than your first one because your first one's going to have the stronger ships in it, and they're the ones that are going to get banned. Like the exec has a extremely high ban or pick rate. You know, it's involved one way or the other. Whereas the other lodges sort of fall off a little bit. So then you have to sort of build comps around the Ogre or and Shield is still strong as well. The Osprey and the Scythe, both very strong, but used very differently. With the Scythe only has the buffer; it doesn't have any active rep, whereas the Osprey has the active rep, but it doesn't have the speed of the Scythe. So there's so many little different variables into it. And all four Logi are very different from each other as well. You've got the two armor and the two shield, and that's ignoring Frigg Logi. Let's not even. Well, we could delve into Frigg Logi, but we'd be here a while. Frigg Logi is its own crazy matter in itself. But there's so many different little things. So every team has to be able to pull something out of the hat with each individual Logi, I feel, and then maybe even a no Logi comp or a Frigg Logi comp as well. The level of understanding from the teams at the moment is huge.
And what is your opinion on uh, what types of drones people are bringing?
Well, I mean, we've seen the drones have been interesting because we've seen some attempts to include drones that are lesser used on TQ, such as the target painter drones, and I believe we saw some stasis web drones recently in a scrim. But the, the preference does seem to be towards T2 logic, especially if you got that scythe with the buffer or those kind of things, because T2 logic drones help so much with the tanking of the ships because you only have the limited logi, the T1 logi, and it's such a big difference, especially if you got a Frigg logi on there as well. The rep drones can be doing just as much as that Frigg logi can be on grid. It's immense. So there is a huge preference towards at least having some Frigg logi, some logi drones, I should say. But then on the other side of things, last weekend against Otters, we ourselves didn't really use them. We sort of went, okay. So we had the Ogre, we felt that even with Logi drones we wouldn't be able to hold. Let's go DPS drones and let's just try and nuke as much as we can down, and we just barely held on to that prophecy. But sometimes you just got of course the thing here is you have to remember that the Logi drones are T2, but the DPS drones are T1. So it's not always preferable to have DPS drones, which is what the typical norm is on TQ. But tracking disruptor drones are out there as well. Target painter drones. There's been lots of little niches. So I think people are just
Talk,
trying to find their own little surprises as well.
Talking about damage drones, do you reckon sentries over normal, or what's your opinions on people using sentries anyway?
Depends entirely on the ship. The benefit you've got of using sentries is you're not as easily caught up in the smart bombs. You can drop them quite far away, go and tackle something, get on top of something, and have those sentries applying, and they won't be negated by the DPS. Their DPS won't be negated, and also sentries are, they have a bit of HP behind them as well. So for ships like the Tawa, for example, these destroyers that are very good at picking off drones, it makes it a bit more work for them. But I think it honestly just comes entirely down to the comp that you're using. There's so many different ways that you could use sentries or heavies or mediums that you have to sort of build a comp around it and then know which ones you want to bring in that comp specifically.
The one good thing that's super nice about drones is that you can obviously change them after the pick and ban phase. So that's why I think we're kind of seeing a little more of those E-War drones. Because obviously if you don't pick a Vigil or anything with a target painter, you can compensate for that later on by bringing target painter drones. And while I mean, I think all the E-War drones are all T1. I think Logi drones are the only thing we can bring as T2. But it's super nice, I mean, to see people kind of think outside the box. And while it may not be the greatest thing in the world, like, I think web drones are probably quite terrible. I mean, it's always nice to see, people try, at least, make an effort to try and compensate or, bring something besides, the cliche Logi drone or the cliche damage drones, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. It's very creative as well, and it is surprisingly effective. If you get things out there, like the best example, the thing that this comp has come by complete surprise when we had tracking disruptor drones used against us. We against Abaddon and Mega, it's huge. It's literally like removing DPS completely from their battleship off grid. And you'd look at the comp and you think, yeah, well, I won't have Logi drones there, I won't have DPS drones, but you're sort of thinking, hang on a minute, this could actually be quite good. But then also, do you risk investing so much in going for those drones and using those as a counter to a comp only for them to die to something like Tower as well? It's there's so many layers. There's so many layers. But
Yeah. But
yeah,
a battleship or a battle cruiser with 5 TD drones on them can't even hit another battle cruiser. Like the Mega and the Abaddon just get entirely shut out for the match the moment you drop tracking disrupt drones on them for a good like 30-40 seconds until you kill them. Like I've had Oracles 70 km away miss because they've had TD drones on them. So it's the trade-off of do I not want any drones, which will probably be killed in the 30 seconds, but I can get rid of this battle cruiser or battleship for 30-40 seconds of a match.
and of course the overall question, what will they do to you drones wise as well? That's the other thing. But I mean, drones are interesting, but it's nice that there's something in there as well that we can adjust after the picks have been made. Because as Rahne was saying, that the decision of what drones to pick comes entirely after you see both comps, how they line up against each other. So you essentially, you're picking your drones to counter the other team every time. There's no picking tracking disruptor and then accidentally, fighting a Raven, for example, or something like that. You can specialize it completely. So it's huge. Like they're very effective, but there's a lot of smart bombs and there's a lot of things that are very good at killing drones. You're gonna get a destroyer and a frigate in every match. That's absolutely guaranteed, and they're very good at hitting them. You gotta be on your toes, and you've got to calculate it out for yourself whether or not the investment you're making into that specific E-War drone or Logi drone or DPS drone is really worth it.
For sure. And I know we are at, I think, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes into the hour, because we started the stream a little late, and I am starving for lunch. So I think I'm going to cut it here, unless you guys have anything more you want to say.
I'm hungry.
So it looks like
I'm in desperate need of a curry, yeah.
As I say, it looks like I'm not the only one, but thank you guys for joining us. You had good insight and good thoughts, and best of luck tomorrow, Brett, Thomas. Hopefully, Hoodie Mafia won't know that you're on to his tactics.
Oh, he's probably watched this and is secretly going to overtank his ship. This has all been some psychology warfare.
Trust me, even if he's in a tank ship, he'll still scream. It doesn't make a difference how big the ship is or how little damage he's taking. He will scream for reps the second you shoot him.
Psychological warfare.
No, I'm serious. He will. I've seen the same behaviours regardless of what ship he's in.
Okay.
Could you stealthily record this for us, and Brett, can you absolutely shoot Hoodie first tomorrow? I know this sort of goes against the whole tournament thing, but this is a science that needs to be explored.
I might put up like a SoundCloud or something of a practice match where he gets shot starts. You can hear what happens.
We need to have both sides recorded so that way we can see like how accurate it is to him screaming and being shot at, and like test it to see if it's when he's being shot at by the whole team or if he's being shot at by just a frigate. It'll be
So,
hilarious.
Rahne, are you commentating tomorrow?
I am,
Are you
yes.
gonna be with the? Okay, so try and make sure you commentate our match and try and spot if Hoodie gets shot first.
Will do. I can. I will live broadcast via comms that nobody can hear from the teams for the Twitch viewers.
Oh, a couple of people are gonna get kicked out of the team for that, but it would be funny.
Oh yeah. All right. Thank you guys for joining. I will be ending the stream momentarily, as well as throwing a yeah, we can throw a host to someone. But thank you all for viewing. Have a good Saturday. I think there's a lot of stuff going on this weekend, but make sure you tune in tomorrow at 1900, same channel for the major leagues right before the finals.